Good morning, everybody. Hey, it's an awesome Saturday. Well, it's awesome since I see the sun. So awesome Saturday today. Hey, hopefully you can hear me, see me. Before I start going a little bit too much and further into this, I just want to make sure one, that you can hear me, and two, that you can see me. And we do that by using the chat. So if you don't mind putting in the chat where you're from, I would really appreciate that. Let me know that you can hear me. And plus, we get to like to know where people are coming from. So I'm just going ahead and just look at the chat real quick. Hey, we got Atlanta in the house, Brooklyn's in the house, like the way of Crown Heights. All right, so we got some more Atlanta here. We got Huntsville, Alabama. Oh, I know Huntsville, Alabama. Dallas, Texas. I'm going to assume that's Dallas, Texas, and that Texas there. Hey, we got Washington, D.C.'s in the house. We got Southern Delaware's here. We got Montgomery County in Maryland. How you doing? Good to see you there. Hey, of course, Scott Sparkle. We got Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. Hey, I'm in the state of Virginia. So this is really interesting how we have people from all over the United States, and we're going to have this conversation about real estate investing. Yes, this is going to be awesome. Matter of fact, before we even get started, before we get too much into it, this is a live meeting. So, one, we ask everybody to please stay muted. So, in that case, you don't have to have your camera on, and we appreciate that. And then another thing, too, because this is live, you get to ask questions in the chat. That's why we want to know like where you're coming from, so that way you can exercise that. So you start getting your questions teamed up. Matter of fact, don't wait to the last minute because we may run out of time. We'd like to keep this within the hour because our investors are busy and they're taking time out of their weekend to be able to have a conversation with us to share how they're doing real estate investing in today's time. So this is really awesome as everybody's continue to put where they're coming from. Thank you for letting me know that you can hear me, Sherry. Hey, we got Waldorf, Maryland showing up. We got Dumfries, Virginia here. We got Seattle, Washington here. Orlando, Florida is here. Hey, Cap, another Florida. Hey, it must be really nice warm down there. Hey, Virginia, Lorton, Virginia is here. How you doing? Miami, Florida is showing up. So, hey, this is really awesome. So we thank you, Chicago. I feel good because it's like you got New York and then you got Chi-Town. You got Chicago. You get that vibe now. I'm feeling pretty good. But guess what? Our real estate investors is nowhere near any of those places, and they still crushing it in real estate investing. And before I get started, thank the person who invited you to today's meeting. Just go ahead and just put it in there, send them a text, tell them thank you because we don't want you to forget when you hear all this information you're going to hear today. You definitely want to tell them thank you. And it's just really awesome just to, tell people thank you. And then right after this, if you're still curious about how to become a real estate investor, you think about whatever the case may be, or take your game to the next level, there is another meeting right after this. So when you tell that person thank you, ask them about the next meeting. If it's not today, maybe it's another day, but go ahead and do that now so you don't forget as we kind of move forward. So, hey, Scott, hey, I want to go ahead and turn it over to you because we got people from all over the United States is really here today to hear this story. We got a powerful couple, which you about to introduce. You know, I really enjoy just having conversation with them when we was in, I think it was Punta Cana or maybe it was a DR, but it was in a nice place and we was all hanging out having dinner. I like having conversation with real people who's really doing real estate investing. So, my friend, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing this. But I want to turn over to you to introduce our speakers for today.
Well, Keith, thank you very much. I appreciate kicking off today's property tour. March 15th, we are halfway through March. Almost the first quarter is completed, and I don't know how everybody's doing on their yearly goals. I don't know if anybody started to update them or tweak them, but I know that I'm off to a good start this year and acquiring properties, and I've got a great plan in place, and we'll see how things go. But Keith, yes, we have a great property tour. We love doing these every Saturday morning, except for next Saturday morning. I think it's a good time to throw that in, Keith. Next Saturday, the majority of us are going to be attending the national conference in Salt Lake City. And so many folks will be there, and we will be masterminding. We will be learning from some of the top real estate investors in the country. We'll be on site teaching us their skill sets, teaching us their tricks, the ways they build their business, how they built their business. And so we're all of us that are going are fired up and excited to attend. And then, what was really cool, Keith, I am going to take a couple seconds to mention this, is they actually announced here, what, a week ago or so, for the first time, they're going to let guests who cannot travel to Salt Lake City. You want to be there, right, Keith? You want to be
Oh yes,
there
definitely.
to go to dinner with other investors in our community and mastermind with them, and face to face, and have that quality time. But if you're not able to travel and you're not able to get there, this is the first year they're letting all the guests who cannot attend, just the guests who are not, they can live stream and they can actually watch the national conference from home. And we got 3 powerful days: Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And then Friday night, the 21st, we have our huge awards banquet. And that goes on throughout the whole evening. And you can live stream that as well. I didn't want to throw that out, Keith, because this is the first time we've done that. So next Saturday, we will not be doing a property tour, but then the next Saturday after that, which is the 29th, we will be coming to you from Arizona. We have a great property tour lined out from Arizona. So today we're up where the northern part of the country where it's a little bit cooler, and then we're going to be going down to Arizona. So I did want to throw that out there. So we have a powerful property tour for you. Kayla and Colton Volkman. I met this young couple, and it was so. I think the first time I met you was at a breakfast.
Yeah, Nationals last year. Right?
Nationals last year. We had breakfast together, and I was just so impressed with your mindset already. You were fairly new in the community, and you got it. You understood what it takes to get ahead, to build legacy wealth. And both, Kayla being a nurse, and they're going to talk about it, and Colton being in the trades, a plumber by trade. And just they got the whole idea of building relationships and building knowledge and executing and taking action. So without further ado, I'd like to bring out Colton and Kayla. I'm so proud of you guys, and I love that you have sharing and giving back some of your time today. So if you guys could kind of share and start out, tell folks a little bit about yourselves, kind of why you decided to get into real estate. How did you find our community? There's people on today that maybe saw an ad on Eventbrite or a roadside sign or a Facebook post, or maybe they're a friend of a friend kind of thing. And talk about that if you would. So you guys go ahead and take it over. Kayla, Colton.
Yeah, I'll let you start.
Yeah, so I'm Colton. I'm a master plumber, and how I got into the community was I was working on a job. It was at a motel, and Nate and Tabitha own it, and they just bought it, and I was working on their toilet, and I just started asking how they got into real estate investing, and she told me a little bit about the community, and I was interested, and they brought us to something similar to this, and I think we joined like I don't know, like a week later, something like that,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's how we got started.
It's funny because you weren't even supposed to go to that job that day. And he was
Yeah.
kind of like crabby that he was. And I'm like, there's a reason for everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to finish your introduction?
So I'm full-time master plumber. I recently this past year bought an excavation business
With your parents.
with my parents. Real estate investor. That's my dog Rip. He is 3 now. And then I like hunting, fishing, snowmobiling, and I love to travel.
My name's Kayla. I'm a full-time real estate investor as of about a year and a half ago. I am a part-time nurse as of a year and a half ago. I love helping people solve challenges and just love helping people. That's why I became a nurse. I'm a stepmom, dog mom. I love to travel. I also enjoy hunting, fishing, hiking, working out, the outdoors. and love learning new things.
That's so cool, guys. Now I've seen recent pictures of that little puppy, and that little puppy is not a little puppy anymore.
I know we need some updated family pictures. That is for sure.
So,
Um,
guys, go ahead. I'll let you go through your PowerPoint. I apologize.
Fine. So yeah, so Colton and I have been married for 4 years. We like really enjoy construction. We built our house at the ages of 19 and 22. We did absolutely everything but the drywall. Um, we love working together. We complement each other really well. He is more of the like hands-on person, and I am too, but I like to deal with the people a little bit more, and we just complement each other very well. So with real estate, that's very helpful. We've been in real estate just under 2 years now. We've done 3 deals. This was our very first one. It's a fix and flip, and then we have 2 rentals. So building our portfolio. Um, we recently started our own plumbing company as of like a month ago. So we're super proud of Colton for passing his test, and that's been doing really good. So we're hoping that he'll be out on his own soon. We do a lot of our work ourselves in our renovations just due to we have more time. Well, we did have more time than money when we started. So just using the currency we had to solve our problems. And then we also love helping people and making memories as a family. You'll see like our son and then our 2 dogs and some of the photos that we shared later today.
You know what, Scott? You know, this is awesome. I mean, the way how they kind of laid it out, but I would like to say, you know, like, hold on, let's pump the brakes real quick. Real estate was in your blood. I mean, at 19 years old, I'm still going through my parents' refrigerator trying to figure out what I can take without them knowing. And you up there building a house. I'm like, wait a minute, there's no comparison. I shouldn't even be here listening to this. This is not even fair. But it's kind of interesting how, as y'all were kind of telling your story, it's like everybody think there's a set process that you have to go, but everybody has a journey. And it's kind of interesting how you're going to continue to tell us about your story, but it's really awesome to hear how y'all got started. And y'all both are just, because I met y'all just like, hey, we just regular people decided, hey, this is what we wanted to do, and we figured out that that's what we wanted to do, and we just did it. Called take action. And so it's kind of interesting how y'all kind of share that. When you say you do your own work, you say everything but what, concrete? Or what did you say?
Uh,
When we built, we did everything except for drywall.
Wow. A matter of fact, I'm not even allowed to pick up a hammer when I do a project because they say I'm too I'm too dangerous, so I can't do anything. I don't think I just look at it and say that's what we want to buy. But this is really awesome. Now, I'm just out of curiosity. It sounds like real estate was already in your blood. But what made you connect with this community? What let you know that something was missing? Because it seemed like you should have been doing this when you was 5. Why are you waiting until you was like 19?
I was definitely the no person. I'm like, I don't deal with financial stress well, and I wasn't educated on it. So I was really big on support and like what we don't know could hurt us in real estate and us being so young. Um, I just wanted to make sure we were doing it the right way. So the education that is provided with this community and the community, the property tours you learn from, the people that like everyone's willing to help you, so that like you just feel at home as soon as you enter the community, which was super big for me. Because I did not want to be alone, and I'm very coachable, so I wanted to be taught and yeah, the education, the people in the community, the resources are there. So there's no way we could have done this successfully without the community.
Yeah, that
Oh, that's
that's really awesome. Go ahead, Scott.
no, that's amazing. I just again, I was impressed the very first time I met you guys. And, I was there with my wife, and there was quite a few other folks there for breakfast, and I think there was like a dozen or 15 of us that spread out over a few tables, and then you guys are just massively. I mean, I think it's a fair thing to say, Keith. They're massively taking action. They built their first property at the ages of 19 and 22. They did their first deal shortly after they got in. They're going to tell everybody about how they were able to do their very first deal as a subject to, and I'll let Kayla explain all that. And now Kayla was a full-time nurse. Now she's gone down to a part-time nurse, and she's a full-time investor. I'd say you're also a full-time entrepreneur. I mean, you guys have started your own plumbing company. You started an excavation company. I mean, I know it's with your parents, but it's kind of a family thing. I mean, everybody's involved in it. So you guys you're more than just investors in real estate. You guys are really figuring out what to do. And, I can tell you right now, if we can somehow keep this recording for 10 years until you're in your, later 30s here, I just, where you guys are going to be in 10 years from now is probably going to be amazing. Like simply amazing. You'll be in Tahiti, or you'll be somewhere traveling the world because you guys like to travel.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be even more casual in there.
So let's get into this deal, and let's kind of start. The thing is, we like to start at the very beginning. How you found the deal. Talk about how you put the deal together, and you guys have told me and Keith a great story on all this. I think it's well worth spending some time on this because this is really powerful stuff. And then how you put the deal, how you were able to solve the seller's problem, how you were able to solve a bank's problem, how you help the community and by fixing up and making the property look a lot nicer, and then you provide a solution for a new owner. And so why don't you kind of kick things off and talk? I know, Colt, maybe at first talk a little bit about how you came across the property.
Yeah, so after I came into the community, I watched some of the education, and I learned about distressed properties. So with all the driving I do for work, I just started looking for them whenever I was driving. And I came across this one, had long grass in the yard. The roof looked pretty bad, needed painting, just looked distressed. So I stopped on the side of the road, wrote down their address, then we looked it up on, at the time, Oneida County GIS mapping, and got all the information we needed. Kayla wrote a handwritten letter, so it's more personable. And then we ended up getting a call back, and then we went and looked at the property, and then Kayla kind of took it from there.
Yeah, so I handwrite all my letters. So we live in a very small community up in northern Wisconsin. Everyone knows everyone, and I know when I get even like the typed handwritten stuff, I'm like garbage. Like I don't care. So to like handwrite it, it really grabs your attention. You're at least going to look at it. And I'm not a big fan of phone calls, and that's something I'm working on. So I don't like being hung up on, and I'm working on that. So the letter they can sit on and they can store it away. They don't have to be angry or at me or anything. They can just put it aside or throw it away, like whatever they decide. And then they can also come back to it in 6 months or call us right away like this guy did. So it's kind of a nice way to kind of be in their mind. And they can come to us when they're kind of ready, because we send letters to probate, distressed properties, all sorts of situations. So there's a lot of emotions that can be running high. So sometimes I don't like doing phone calls, and we'll work on that.
Well, I think that's really good that you were very open and very honest. That, I mean, this is real. This is part of what Keith always talks about. These property tours are real property tours with real investors who are doing deals, and we want, obviously people are going to resonate with your story and resonate with what you just said, Kayla. I mean, there are a lot of people who don't like rejection. Number one. Before rejection, they don't like making calls. And that's why, again, because they don't like rejection, they don't like making phone calls. So I appreciate that you shared that. And one of the ways you work with that, and you're getting better at those because everybody has to start somewhere, right? Wouldn't you agree today that you're much more comfortable making calls than when you first started?
Yeah, I feel more educated. So being more confident in myself and knowing the answers. I mean, I did the same thing with nursing. I wasn't confident at first because I didn't have any experience. So as I build that experience, I get more comfortable.
Absolutely. So those are very powerful things that you're sharing. That's why you're like one of my favorite investor couples to share on these property tours because you can really get out there and just you share stuff, and people like hearing that. So thank you very much. So continue on. So the letters, and I love the process. They can throw them away. They can put them on their refrigerator. They can keep on to them, and then maybe something like okay, we're 4 months behind now. We better. Where was that letter at? Let's call that person, right? Or something changes in their family, as far as a job or a relocation, or unfortunately, a sickness or death in the family. So great. Yeah, I love how you're doing that.
Yeah. So like you said, situations definitely change. So a no now doesn't mean a no later. So they can sit on it as long as they'd like. So yeah, going on to funding the deal. So we purchased the property subject to the existing mortgage. So a little backstory about this property. So after we met with the owner, we found out that he was behind on his mortgage and in pre-foreclosure, which we didn't realize at the time of sending the letter. So he had expressed to us that he had purchased this property with his wife, who had died many years ago, and he was just holding on to it. He was pretty emotionally attached to the property. He had the intentions of fixing it up and rehabbing it, but was unable to due to a fixed income. So he didn't have the means, and then age got he was aging, so he wasn't able to do it how he wanted to. After talking to him, he he told us that he would be comfortable with us working with him. We were very upfront and honest about this being our first deal. We didn't have all the answers, but we had the community that we could use as a resource to find his answers. So he was very comfortable with that. Like I said, we're a small community up here, so being open and honest is kind of how it works up here. So
But
we
his new wife was not comfortable with it.
No, so she didn't know about it for a while that he was working with us. So I don't know if she knew that he was in pre-foreclosure. I don't know all the dynamics. I didn't dig too much because it was a touchy subject. So yeah, he had since then remarried. I think they had been together for about like 7 years or such. And she thought I was kind of out to get them. So I spent many hours working with her and meeting with them and just getting to know them getting to know me, what we were doing with the property, why we wanted to help them. And I was like, well, we're helping you and we're also helping us. Like we're creating a win-win situation for both of us and just really emphasizing that win-win situation. Like I'm not going to do anything to potentially harm you. So I'm like, we have our education, we have the community to back us up, and we will get you your questions answered as soon as we can. So just being very open and upfront about that, it took weeks to convince her. We
He
actually,
was he was all in, right?
yeah, he was like, just, I need something, like, thank you, like, I'm gonna take a chance. But like I said, I don't know if she knew that he was falling behind on his mortgage. So I never really like fully brought that up because you could tell we were actually sitting in this room at one point. They had come to my house. And we were sitting in this room filling out paperwork, the purchase contract. And she's like, I just don't get it. She's like, this is very complex. And she just wanted a little letter saying, we're gonna buy it. And if like pay the mortgage. And if we don't, we're going to buy it by a certain date. So we did two purchase contracts, one easy for her to read so she could trust, and the complex one that basically said the same thing, but lots of legal terms in it and to protect us and them. So building that relationship was very difficult and pushed me out of my comfort zone, especially on our first deal when you're not confident in yourself, but trying to portray that. Um, it was difficult, but it's a deal we'll always remember for sure.
Yeah, Keith, are you taking all this in? Their very
I,
first deal?
yeah, I am so like, what's the word? It's not stunned, shock. It's like just the conversation that you just said that as you was talking with him, first of all, you took action to learn. That's huge all about itself. And then evidently there was something that you saw that says we can implement this. So there's a lot of things that you can learn, but you learn, but then you started implementing it. Then you started what we call like negotiating. So I'm assuming that was definitely one of the classes that you definitely watched was negotiating when you started having those conversations. Just even from the very beginning, as you were driving around and you saw the property, the classes talks about what to look for. And you says, you know what, that matched the bill. And then you just kind of went through that process. But just to have the folks in your space that says, okay, we are real, we're learning as we go through this, but we want to do the right thing. And just to keep that separation as she's trying to figure out who y'all are, he's like, hey, you solved my problem. Because that was one of the things that you had on your list of who you are. You like to help people. So I can tell just from what you were saying is you really wanted to help. And then as you kind of saw that there was a way to help him, it just like, let me just explain more. Let me open up all, the information. Let's just go forward. And so you may not saw it that way, but as I'm hearing your story, that's what y'all did. That's what we call a proof in the pudding that's what y'all did. And that's really awesome that you was taking care of it.
And then like going back to the negotiation, like it doesn't always have to be on like the price. It was like negotiating with her to do the basic purchase contract. Like if that's what she's comfortable with, like then if as long as it doesn't harm the deal, like we're gonna do that, you know?
That's awesome.
That's beautiful. Yeah, so price was not the first obstacle. It was making her comfortable, and you realized that, and you spent time with her. You met her at your house. You know, I just think it's amazing that right into the deal that you were able to actually tackle, or not say tackle, to actually complete a transaction with this many steps in it. And because you even had to find a title company that would do the subject to, is correct?
Yeah, there is no one up here that would do the subject to for us. So we actually had to use a title agent in Milwaukee, which was great. We still use her for our rentals. We've used her for closing for both of those. So it was great. It was meant to be because
That's right.
it just was.
So do you want to show a little bit about and I will get to the numbers later if anybody's wondering how the numbers work and all that. But you want to show some of the pictures? Oh, there you go, right there.
Yeah, so we can kind of go over this. So this was the property. I'll let you talk.
So this is the property, the before pictures. The
Yes,
long grass.
I see the roof that you're talking about. Yeah, the roof looked like it was pretty bad shape.
Yeah. So there used to be a bunch of trees in the front yard, and when we bought it, he said that a tree actually fell on the front. And at one point in time, he had a tarp on it.
Mm.
So this is the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually multiple additions onto this property before we purchased it, which we later found out. I'll have Colton tell that story.
So this is the pictures when you acquired it?
Yes.
Yes. So it's
Okay.
it's for it being vacant so long, it's pretty decent shape.
Yeah, I love the story you told us before the property tours. This thing had been vacant for like 23 years, and the individual was using it for square dancing.
Yeah. It has a big living room, and that's where him and his wife are square dancing.
Yeah, so this is the living room. It's giant.
So when I was remodeling this bathroom, behind the wall on the shower, we found a window in the wall.
Interesting. It was left there. The window was.
They just framed right around it and did their addition at some point in time.
I don't think I've ever seen a window behind a shower enclosure.
That was the first for me.
All right, so those are all the before pictures. I'll have you tell what we did for rehab.
So we did new flooring, new ceiling, that tongue and groove in the living room, which that's really popular up where we live. Um, Electrical work, interior, exterior paint, which we struggled with that. Our contractor was not good. We actually had to fire him and finish it ourselves. We learned something there. Um, New doors, texturing on the walls, new exterior doors. Um, yeah, all new shingles, fascia, soffit, complete kitchen remodel, replace the windows, new deck, complete master bathroom model, partial guest bathroom model. We left the tub base and the walls in there. And then we added a laundry room to the main level. Just because we thought an older couple was gonna buy this, so the basement isn't very nice, I guess. So we figured people would rather do their laundry on the main level.
That's also, hey, just out of curiosity, so when you say, as you was kind of going through that list, did you use like a software? I mean, how did you like, as you was kind of walking through the property, like, did you know what you needed to change? Did you use a system? Did you buy it yourself? Did you use a general contractor? If you don't mind kind of explaining that just a little bit.
So when we walked through originally, we took a bunch of pictures so we remember what all needed to be replaced. And then we used a system. It's called Renatus iOS, and they have a rehab estimator on there. And you can pretty much punch the numbers in there, and they'll give you an estimate for your location. And that's what we used, and it was really close what we ended up putting into it.
Mhm.
Oh, that's really awesome. So that you learn how to do it. Then there's a system that's connected where it allows you. As what I thought I heard was you can put in the information as you kind of walk through, take the measurement, like how many windows, how many doors, square footage, and then it spits out an answer, and it's pretty much close to what you needed.
Yep.
Kind of that. I guess that saved you a lot of time, huh?
Yes, it did.
Mhm.
Awesome. Scott, do you do that? I just out of curiosity.
I did in the beginning, Keith, but because of my background, I had a little bit head start. My previous life, I was a project manager for a big box retailer, and I assisted in, and I was responsible for $2 million retail stores to be built from the ground up. So I kind of learned about all that as a project manager. So I was able to take that over to this as far as residential. But yes, I did. Matter of fact, my first two deals, guys, I didn't really care how much I made money, how much I wanted to make some money, but it was important. And so to learn and to gain knowledge from others, I kind of partnered up in my first couple deals with other folks and in the community and did my first couple deals. So now, I know what it costs here because I've done quite a few properties. I know what it costs to install windows. I know what it costs, per square on siding, per square on roofing, what it costs square foot for insulation, all that. I can pretty well do it pretty quick.
And a question before we move forward, and I appreciate that, Scott. And because what is interesting, so from even the first time to experience, they can all use that system to help them with that curve of actually taking action to figure out what the numbers are, and I appreciate that. But Kayla, just real quick, when you say you sent the letters, because some people get letters, some people get postcards, and it sounds like you have success of doing something. Do you actually send a letter, or is it a postcard that goes out?
A letter, yeah. So just your normal notebook paper I write on. I have about, I don't know, like 7 sentences of like who we are, what we do, how we can help, avoid realtor costs for them, kind of like the perks of dealing with us, or you working with us. I shouldn't say dealing, working with us. Um, so yeah, and then
Awesome.
just like they don't have to worry about contractors, they don't have to worry about expenses to rehab it. Like we buy as is, like they don't have to do anything to the property.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. So here are some of the rehab photos. This was after we did the roof. There was 3 layers of shingles on the roof, so that was
Mm.
really fun to get off. That was a workout. I act like I did a lot of it. I most certainly did not. Hold on.
That was not fun. And
It
So
it's
sounded
you,
very convincing, though.
so you guys jumped up on the, I know it's just one level, so it's not very high. You got up on the roof and scraped those 3 layers of shingles off?
Mhm.
yeah,
I mean, this house was built when? Do you know the year it was built?
1900, somewhere around in there.
Okay, all right. So do you think the first layer was the very first one?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Because it was on this part, right?
So the very center of the house,
Yes,
the original structure, and then they added on from there.
yes.
Yeah.
So you had to scrape off a layer of shingles that was on there for 125 years.
Yep.
It was probably like solidified and glued. You probably tore up a lot of the plywood getting it off.
So back then they didn't use plywood; they used one bys.
I knew that. Yes, 1x4s or yes.
Yep. So, but yeah, it was the third layer was awful.
Piece by piece.
Yes.
Wow,
Uh, and
it's
then
beautiful. The
yeah,
roof
we
is
got the
beautiful.
new windows in. Some of them we kept this big window and we had our painter start to refinish it before he had to get fired. But we did learn a lot. I wanted to take a pressure washer to the siding, and when he came, he's like, "You can't do that." I'm like, "Oh, that's very good to know." And then another house we worked on had the same siding, so here's a reason for everything. So here's the kitchen tore up, new windows. That's the old cabinets. And this was marking out,
Where the new island is gonna go.
yeah, we spent a lot of time designing the kitchen because it's a very high interest of people. So definitely a selling point for a lot of people. This is the bathroom, the guest bath. We kept the tub, did new fixtures in it, flooring.
Hmm.
This to the left, this was a coat closet. Um, and this is where we found we could easily get the washer and dryer. So we kind of knocked down a couple walls, just small walls, and then built it for the washer and dryer. And then this is the living room. And when we rehab stuff, we always walk our parents through. So my dad's a mason. His dad's a civil engineer, likes to build houses as well. Or he's like built his own and then helped us build and design ours. So we always kind of walk through them with them and they give us like ideas. And my dad's like, that ceiling's got to go. You can't keep it. Like you can't do it. I'm
Was that
like,
was that a drop ceiling?
no.
Okay.
It was the you see on the floor there those
Oh, panels, those
panels.
squares. Yeah,
Yeah,
tiles.
that's what was up there.
Ah,
So it was tongue and groove, right?
Yeah, that's what we put
Yeah,
up.
he's like, you need some wood, tongue and groove, and some can lights because it didn't have any lights in the living room, and Dad was right. So this is the dining room area. Oops, sorry. And then that goes to the kitchen, the bathroom, and then there's a bedroom over here. Another angle of the dining room. And then us working on, so there's the ceiling that we had our contractor put in. He did an excellent job.
I love the picture on the left with the two puppies looking at you, and you took the picture.
Yeah.
And
They
then Kayla or Colton looks like his head's touching the ceiling.
Yes. Yeah, they love coming to work with us. They enjoy spending time. And I was this house is close to the road and they did awesome. This is another one of this is one bedroom over here to the right. And then these two are the other bedroom. The two guest bedrooms, and then there's a big closet here as well. So the carpet he had just put in. So he had kind of started to rehab it, and so we kept the carpet. Um, no one had even lived there. That's us working on it. Then our after rehab photos. So new trim, the new roof. We just painted the deck. I didn't get any, there's a deck over here we didn't have pictures of. So we added, how big was that deck?
I want to say it was like 8 by 10.
Added a nice deck to the patio door. And here's the kitchen.
Mm.
Yeah, to retexture the walls. And then we pulled out, there was like a cabinet there or something we pulled out and redid. Here is the guest bath.
That looks a lot better. Mm.
Yeah. And I was actually able to refurbish the vanity, so that was kind of cool. I was like, I'll give it a try, and if not, we'll get a new one, but it worked out good. The big closet in the guest bath, or guest bedroom, sorry. And then this, I don't know, I love like all the light that comes in. There's so many windows and it's so open. So here's the front door over here. We added some shiplap here, just to give it a little more modern, fun feel. And then you can kind of see the deck over here through the patio. And then this is the laundry room.
This is awesome. Like, how long did you work on this project? That's one of the questions that came in.
From start to finish, it took us 97 days.
Closing to closing.
Closing to closing.
We were done with the property rehabbing it before the 97 days, but that was closing to closing. We didn't have a summer life outside of this rehab.
But y'all
It
looked
was
like
all-
y'all was having fun though.
Yeah.
You look like y'all was having fun. The dogs were having fun. Y'all was having fun. And from closing to closing,
Yeah, we actually brought our
oh my gosh.
and we slept in an RV, so it was kind of camping and rehabbing all at the same time.
Oh, that's
Wow.
fun. I bet the dogs loved it more than you did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They were happy. They love going camping. So that was kind of cool because when we went to do our taxes, we were able to use our camper as a partial write-off. So on top of like what we got in cash from this deal, we were able to use the resources from the community to write things off that we didn't know we would be able to. So that was pretty cool too.
So you made money and saved at the same time and was able to write things off. So you are doing what everybody wants to do, but you took action to do it, and that's just so awesome. Man, that's a nice bathroom. I'm sorry.
No,
So this is the bathroom that I found the window in.
yeah.
I never, yeah, that's funny. He found a, you know what? They
So,
probably say, oh yeah, I can take care of that real quick, and they just patched over the window.
I'm just really curious. So on the outside of the house, can you see the window or did they side over it?
Oh, so the window is right behind that back shower panel.
But on the outside of the house, can you still see the window or did they siding over it?
So
No,
this
so that on the other side of that wall there that Kayla's got a cursor on, that would be
oh no, the closet.
the closet.
So just left the wall or left the window in there and drywalled right over it.
Yep.
Yeah, so what
Interesting.
we think happened was they added on the master bedroom and the master bath, and then they added on to the kitchens. And I think the living room was added on too. So it was originally just like a 2-1 with a little kitchen and a little like dining room or living room, whatever you want to say. And then there was like 2 additions on to make this house what it is today.
Well, you sure made a difference in this property. 97 days, which is amazing. Like you said, you lost the summer because of it, right? But you gained a lot of experience and you guys worked together. So, hey, you're still together, and so that shows, you both that, you can work really well together, right?
Yeah, we prefer it honestly.
Yeah.
Obviously, because you've started your own excavating company, you've started your own plumbing company. Colton, you're still W-2 in it as a plumber, okay, but you're going to gradually move over where you just do your plumbing company, correct?
Yep. I'm hoping to call it quit in May.
That's your plan. I love it. May. Let me write that down. May. So I can send you a text in May.
All right.
Okay. All right. And then, so going forward, this is an interesting thing. I've been thinking in the back of my mind because I had kind of knew a lot of this already before this call, but do you see moving forward, will you delegate more things out and maybe do less hands-on because you've got so many irons in the fire?
Yes. I guess I'll definitely still do like the plumbing, stuff like that I know I can do real quick. But like the last one that we did, we hired one of my buddies, to come do some things like I didn't want to do like I did on the first one, like the flooring, trim,
Drywall.
drywall, stuff that is time consuming. I don't have the time to do.
And you don't enjoy as much as
Yes.
others.
Because, there's a lot of people like me personally. I don't swing a hammer. I try not to use a screwdriver, even though I can use a hammer and I can use a screwdriver. I find that it's best just to let the professionals do it from a time perspective. My biggest focus is at the beginning and then at the end. At the beginning, acquiring the property, picking out all the fixtures, laying out the room designs, the finishes. I love all that. And then at the end, like we were talking about this last night at dinner, that I usually spend the last 2 to 3 weeks, like I'm there every single day. Like I want it to be perfect. And so this is interesting because a lot of people do a lot of their own stuff. And then they find as they get into this, for them to scale their business and to be able to free up more time to do the things they want to do, they start to delegate more and they hire those things out. Like you hired your buddy out on the last one that's skilled, that was able to do a lot of the things that you could have done, but you didn't have the time for it. So, people might be saying, well, that cost them money to do that, where before it was their own time. And that's kind of their, what we call, what is that, sweat equity? You put your own sweat equity into it, and that was your currency that you put into it. And, but moving forward, it sounds like to me, you won't be doing as much as that.
Yep.
Yeah, and also, well,
When we did this one, I had more time and less money. Now we have less time but more money.
Beautiful.
and we want to enjoy our time too. Like
Yeah.
we love to travel, we love to go on a boat, go with the camper, stuff like that. So
Go to Kentucky. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got that. So you want to get into the numbers for everybody?
Yeah. So another fun fact about this property is we began marketing it before it was done. So when we were done, we just had to wait for title. We had already agreed on a price and had a purchase contract down when we completely finished and then just waited on title. So the mortgage between being what they fell behind on and what their current mortgage was 130,571.31. They had an adjustable rate So that was not great. Our interest rate was like 9.5% at one point, which was not fun. So our average payment was like 1,400-ish, that we paid each month. Our holding costs were $4,368.91. Our rehab costs were $69,904.27. We funded, so at the beginning, we talked about how we had equity in our house. So we actually used the equity and our credit cards to fund the rehab costs and then just paid them off when we got
So
paid
you
off.
used a HELOC on your personal home,
Mhm.
use those funds to do this rehab, right? And then you use some other type cards, credit cards, okay, to do some of the other stuff. But you did this in 97 days. So you were able to pay that HELOC right back off again, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah. So we had 0% credit cards that we were able to use for the materials. And then just in case our expenses ran over what we thought they would, we didn't want to drain our HELOC completely in case we needed to pull that cash out. So we used our credit cards for all of the purchases and then paid our laborers with the HELOC and everything else. So our total investment in this was $74,273.18. We sold it for 250,000. Didn't have to pay a realtor, nothing like that. So we profited $45,155.51, and then we were able to write off quite a bit of other stuff that we use. So close to $50,000 combined with everything.
That's 45,000 after you paid your HELOC back, after you paid your no interest credit cards back. You were still able to make a profit in 97 days.
Mhm.
Let's just round that up to 100, okay? So that's basically a little less of a third of a year, right? That's pretty good money for. And at that time, were you still a full-time nurse?
Yeah, so after this, well, it was very difficult to get to the bank and do everything I needed to do as a full-time nurse. His work hours are crazy in the summer being a plumber. And they're longer here, being a nurse in the summer as well. So trying to get to the bank and get what I needed to do and during those hours was a very hard challenge that didn't possibly need to be a challenge. So after this project, we ran our numbers, like kind of talked about if we wanted to continue real estate investing, which was an obvious yes after almost making my wage in a couple months. Um, I was like, we can afford to drop down, or I can afford to drop down to part-time to focus more on our business. Because I have to carry the health insurance. So just keeping that in the back of our mind of real life stuff that's going on that we have to account for. So I was able to drop down to part-time in November and we started in March.
A lot of wisdom there, Keith. A lot of wisdom.
Oh yeah, I'm taking all these notes because I'm just that is a systematic approach of how they are tackling this thing called real estate investing. And
Yeah.
it is yeah, because it's just a lot of things, you found an off-market deal. Now, here's a question that some people may be wondering, was it easier or harder to work with an off-market deal versus a deal that's on the MLS system?
So they both have their challenges. Now that we've built a little bit of a reputation for ourselves, I think it's a little bit easier than convincing our first person. They always say your first one's probably going to be your hardest. And that was definitely challenging. We talked about that earlier. But you don't have competitors, so you're not like, oh, I like what price can I go up to? You're like, this is what I can offer. Um, and this one was I don't know if we're ever going to find a deal like this again where the owner wants nothing. So that was very eye-opening. We didn't pay the the original seller a dollar for this house. We just helped fix his credit and took the house off his hands. And
Yeah,
gave him
that's
a
really
lot of
awesome.
press relief. Yeah.
Now,
So,
What?
one of the things, Keith, they didn't mention in the beginning is that because this individual was behind and he was in pre foreclosure, the amount wasn't exuberant. It was like what, $3,000? You guys did, that's all part of your numbers and you're holding, you did put the 3,000 to catch him up,
mhm,
right?
yeah.
And so you, as we started this all off, this is like what we call a, a triple, quadruple win. I mean, he wins, right? It might also, I mean, if you want to peel the layers back, it might help him with with some closure on his previous wife,
Yeah.
getting, finally getting rid of the house, right? And it helped him with his credit. It actually improved his credit, right? Um, you helped the bank out because you took a potential bad deal off their books because, when it goes to foreclosure, they end up, a lot of legal fees and stuff that they lose. So that helped that out. It helped you guys out, obviously, on your first deal. You learned so much on this first deal.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different steps and layers to this thing. It's amazing. I mean, you can literally write a short story about this deal.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm trying to give you an idea here. You could write like a short story book on this thing, and I think it would be well read. I really do because you did a lot of different stuff with this, using a HELOC, using no interest credit cards, driving for dollar, finding a distressed property, how you figured out the distress. I mean, there's just so many things I could go on and on about this. So we're wrapping up, Keith. We are really close to the top of the hour. I know, Keith, you mentioned early on, if for folks that are on today, if you're wanting to learn more about our community, if you want to learn more about what Kayla and Colton have learned and how they're executing and building their wealth and doing what they're doing, we do have right after this, it's at a different time, or excuse me, a different Zoom link. So get back with who invited you, and they can literally send you that Zoom link and get you set up, and you can learn more about what we don't have time in an hour to cover. And then also next Saturday we will not be on because we will be at the national conference. Gonna miss you, Colton. We'll take care of Kayla though, and she'll be attending. And then Keith, you'll be attending. Can't wait to see you in Lafay. But then we'll be back the next Saturday after that, which is the 29th. So wrap us up here, Colton and Kayla. If you guys want to leave a few things, with folks, if they're thinking about getting started in real estate, or if they're thinking about becoming part of our community, how would you like to leave everybody today?
Yeah, so I would highly recommend getting into community, get educated, because like I've wanted to do real estate for well, since high school, so 10 years ago, and as soon as I got into this group, we did our first deal within a couple months, so
That's
uh,
amazing.
it definitely changed my life.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd say just surround yourself with like-minded people because they can push you and believe in you when you're not believing in yourself. So, surround yourself with those people to cheer you up, or they have experience too. Odds are you're not the only one going through it or that has gone through it, and just learning from them and them being there and talking about it and figuring out a solution to how you can tackle it. Because there's a lot of firsts in real estate. I mean, investing. I mean, I've gone through many firsts with our rental properties. Like every deal and situation is different. So having a group they're not going to let you do a bad deal, you know. Everyone wants to see you succeed here. So that's what I love about this. They're not going to let us do a bad deal. As hard it is to hear that you got a bad one, you're not desperate enough for a bad deal.
Beautiful. Well, Keith, if you don't have anything else, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I hope everybody has a blessed weekend, and we
Yeah.
look forward to seeing you. If you're on today and you're part of our community already, or you're a guest and you're attending the Salt Lake National Conference in Utah, we can't wait to see you guys out there. For everybody else, we if you want to, if you're a guest today, get back. We've invited you, and you can live stream the national property tour. I mean, it's going to be pretty powerful. I mean, there's going to be folks that are training out there that have done literally thousands of deals. So otherwise, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And Kayla, Colton, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
All righty. You
Hey,
guys have a great
Both in a couple days.
Yeah, see you in a couple of days. And here, one last thing for everybody, because I saw people saying thank you. It was nice. What y'all did to the property was really awesome. Y'all went from a concept of being told about real estate investing to actually being taught and took action. And I want to say congratulations. The proof is in the pudding. This is really awesome. And I can see the progress that y'all made. You believed in yourself, and it all starts there. So it's awesome. Thank you for everybody showing up on this Saturday. Scott Buckles, if it wasn't for you, man, we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't see powerful couples like this. Matter of fact, I think I see a future TV series couple in front of us. I don't know. They got the name, it's there, and they got it. And so
I don't think I want to see that because it seems like all those folks end up getting separated. So
no. This is a power couple right here.
You got to be the same, Scott. Someone's got to start the trend.
You're the one. All right, guys. Take care now.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.